What is up, my Majin Buu crew? It's your boy, King Majin, coming back at you guys with another video. And today, as you guys can see from the thumbnail, it will be, what if Deku was the reincarnation of Tai Lung? So yeah, if you haven't seen the original videos, go check them out. There should be a playlist for them on the channel, and yeah. I know the video was supposed to come out yesterday, but I figured putting what if Deku was Miriko's son out on Mother's Day would be a good idea. And that video is receiving a lot of support, and if you guys have watched that, I really plan on continuing that for you guys. So yeah, have that to look forward to. And anything else I want to say? Announcements will be done after the video, and the like goal for the video will be done afterwards as well. So, that's all I want to say. Without further ado, let's get into the video. What if Deku was the reincarnation of Tai Lung? We open things up with both Mimi and Deku just talking about how their friend was eliminated. But when they both found out that Deku would be fighting the person who caused their friend to not be eliminated but quit, they will both be thinking of getting revenge. No, not revenge. They would just be really angry that their friend couldn't go into the tournament because of him. As they would be stewing about this, Todoroki would approach them, and he would then go on to tell them about his mother and how his father, and about the quirk marriages and all that, and how he intends to beat them only using his right side. As they would hear this, they would be a bit annoyed, but they wouldn't press the situation, understanding what he's been through. But Tai Lung would then appear behind Deku, thinking about this even further, elaborating, saying, "What a fool." And for an instant, Todoroki would look back and say, "Who said that?" As he would then push this out of his mind and walk away, assuming that it was Deku. But not so sure because of the way the voice sounded. As Bakugo and Ojiro would appear out of the shadows after hearing what all of them just were talking about. They'll be a bit sad for Todoroki, but Bakugo would just walk off in a huff. As President Mike would then announce the next match. As Deku and Mimi would be talking, she would then say, "Keep a cool head. I know you plan on winning this match, but don't go overboard." As Deku would then say, "I won't." As Ojiro would then approach him, telling him the same thing, not to go overboard. And Deku saying, "How well do you guys know me?" And he would then say, "Yeah, we know you well enough." As Deku would then say, "Ouch." As they would both laugh, and Deku would approach the ring. Deku entered the ring, meeting up with Shinso in the ring as well. As Midnight would then announce the next match, Izuku Midoriya versus Shinso. From the crowd, Deku's master and Rick, Ojiro, and me will be looking on thinking, he better not go overboard. As Tsubaki would then say, "We've been working on that, he won't go overboard. He's much better trained than that." As they would then say, "Are you sure?" As Deku would then crack the ground beneath his feet, as Shinso would be getting nervous. As they would then say, "Oh no," as Deku would inch closer with each stomp, as Shinso begins to insult his friends, his master, Mimi, everyone he knows, as Deku would then keep stepping, and stepping, and stepping, and stepping until he's right in Shinso's face. As Shinso would be getting even more terrified, Deku would step even closer, causing Shinso to back up even more. As Shinso would be looking on scared, but he would still be running his mouth, insulting Deku and everyone he knows, until Deku would then punch him in the face, causing him to pass out from the pain. And the fact that he basically just hit him in the jaw. As we go on, Deku will be announced the winner of the first match by Midnight. As Shinso would then get up after having some water splash on his face, Deku would then say, "I'm sorry, man. I lost my temper. As Shinso would then say, it's okay, I get it. As Shinso would then walk away stewing with anger a little bit, but Deku would then stop him saying, you have an amazing quirk. All you have to do is train your body, and I know for a fact that you will be an incredible hero. As Shinso would hear this, Deku would then walk away as Shinso was looking at his back. As Shinso would then smile, hearing the encouraging words, and hearing his classmates cheering for him. As Tai Lung would then look at the kid as they're walking away, and he would tell Deku that the kid has potential. And Deku would then say, yes he does. As Tai Lung would then fade away, as Shinso would then look back after hearing those words. What was that? It didn't sound like him. And you guys can tell, people are starting to hear Tai Lung much more clearly because Deku's getting more powerful, and Tai Lung is getting more powerful via Deku. They're both getting more powerful, that's what I'm trying to say here. So people will be able to hear them for brief instances, and in some cases even see Tai Lung. Afterwards, Deku would head back to the stands, greeting his friends, with Tsubaki smacking him over the head, telling him that he didn't need to use that much force. And Deku would then say, I kinda lost it, okay? I tried to keep my cool, but it was hard. She would then say, Tai Lung isn't even influencing you anymore. And Deku would then say, yeah, if he was, that would have turned out a lot worse. As Tai Lung would then shout from Deku's body, saying, shut up. After this, they would continue to talk, and the other matches would go on the same as in canon, with Todoroki winning against Sero, Kaminari losing against the Vine Girl, and Ida being made into an advertisement and winning his match. As they will be talking, they will see that Mimi's up next against Aoyama, as they will both wish Aoyama the best of luck. As Mimi would then head out, and the match would then begin with Aoyama using his navel laser. But Mimi would then run up to Aoyama, uppercutting him the same way Ashido did in canon, winning the match for herself. As she would then go back, Deku and Ojiro would say, man, I feel sorry for Aoyama. She would then say, I had to end the match fast, and he's lucky I didn't use any of One for All. As Deku would then say, ugh, even one of your punches without One for All hurts. As they would then all laugh at this remark. The other matches would go like they did in canon, with Momo losing, Kirishima and Tetsu ending in a draw, and then having an arm wrestling match with Kirishima winning, and Bakugo versus Ochako, with Ochako losing the same way as in canon. Deku would then be getting pumped for his match, as they will all wish him the best of luck. As he will be walking to the arena, Endeavor would stop him, telling him to make Shoto use his flames, as Deku would then say, so you're his father. As Deku would give off an aura that says, get out of my way or else. As Mimi would then come up behind Deku, seeing Endeavor approach him, and chastising him for the way he treats his own son. As they would then walk away with Endeavor apologizing for inconveniencing them. But having a really angry expression after being chastised by these children. Deku would then approach the ring, and he would then tell Todoroki, that you're not gonna win only using half your power. I'll make you use your flames. As he would then say, my father put you up to this? As Deku would then say, no he didn't. This is all me. I wanna fight when you're at your best. As Todoroki will be hearing this, he will get a little bit annoyed, and he will then start to attack Deku with ice, with Deku dodging and breaking most of the ice that Todoroki had shot at him. He would then close the distance, hitting Todoroki with Blue Burn. That's the name of his attack if you guys don't know already. Punching Todoroki and keeping him on the ropes the entire time, pushing him across the ring. but Todoroki would still position himself to not be thrown out of the ring a few times with his ice. But Deku would just be wailing on Todoroki, not even using his legs, just punching him like as if he's boxing. As he would then say, "Come on, Todoroki, those are your flames. Are you really gonna get to the top with only half your power where everyone else is giving it their all? Imagine how insulted everyone feels because of that." As Todoroki would then hear Deku's harsh words, he would then back off, and he would then activate both his fire and ice at the same time. As Deku would then say, "There it is, that's what I wanted to see." As Deku would then release Blue Burn, and he would then start to fill with energy, or chi. As we would cut to a flashback. Deku would have been training with Tai Long when Tai Long would have mentioned, "We have one weakness at this point. We have no long-range attacks. Or, no incredibly powerful long-range attacks." As Deku would then say, "Yeah, I can sling my fire at people, but it isn't as strong as when I would punch them or attack them with it physically." As Tai Long would then say, "I know. That's why I've been developing this." As Tai Long would then instruct Deku on what to do, to gather all his chi, and to circle it around his body, to make a circle of flame around his body with his chi. As he would then say, "Focus. Just focus on channeling everything you have into the center of your being, and keeping that circle in there so you will be able to channel it." As Deku would be hearing Tai Long's words, he would do as he was instructed, as he would then allow the chi to enter into himself. As Deku would then say, as a huge bang would be heard. As we would then cut back to Deku versus Shoto, or Todoroki, where that ring of flame is being formed and the chi is condensing inside of Deku. Todoroki would then prepare a final attack for Deku, the same one as he had in canon, with him shooting a torrent of ice and flames at Deku. Yeah, the same way he did in the original canon, with Deku launching a condensed blast of fire at his flames and his ice, or a condensed blast of chi flames at his ice and his flames, with the two attacks clashing similar to how they did in canon, with Todoroki and Deku meeting basically in the middle with their attacks clashing, with Cementos still having to put up the barriers to prevent them from killing one another. As this would be going on, out of the smoke, Deku would emerge. So yeah. And he would be announced the winner after Todoroki would be spotted on the outside of the ring. "What an amazing match!" as President Mike would then say, with Aizawa saying, "Both of them gave it their all. I couldn't be any more proud of my students." Or something like that. He wouldn't say that out loud, he would say that internally. He would be really proud of both of them for giving it their all as they did. As Todoroki would then wake up in the recovery or the nurse's office with both Deku and Mimi sitting over him. They will begin to talk and understand each other more, with Deku apologizing for pushing him so hard, with Todoroki saying, "Don't apologize, I needed it." As Deku would then fist bump Todoroki in his chest saying, "Remember, that's your power, not his, okay?" As Todoroki would hear these words, and he would be really happy to hear them. As this would be going on, the other matches would go as normal, with Ida winning his. Mimi would then face Tokoyami, with him using Dark Shadow to attack her, but Mimi would then close the distance, understanding Dark Shadow's weakness, or Tokoyami's weakness, because Tokoyami has no real combat experience outside of using Dark Shadow. She would then punch him, sending him flying outside of the ring, winning the match for herself. And Bakugo would defeat Kirishima, and Deku would win by forfeit after Ida had left, because of complications with his brother. And we all know what that means. Afterwards, Mimi and the rest would then prepare, with Mimi going down to prepare to fight Bakugo, as Deku, Ojiro, and Tsubaki and Rick will be talking. They'll be thinking about how this match is going to go down, with Deku saying, it's going to be a bloody one, as they will all nod their heads in agreement. As both Mimi and Bakugo will look at each other, smiling ear to ear. As they will then say, this is going to be a really bloody match, with all four of them nodding in unison. Both Bakugo and Mimi would square off, with both of them activating their quirks, with Bakugo saying, you better use everything you have, including that black whip thing. As she would then say, okay. As she would then activate Black Whip. As the Bakugo would then come hurtling at her as the sound of the match would then start. He'll be hitting her with explosion after explosion, with her avoiding and parrying almost all of them, and tanking a few. As this would be going on, she would then push Bakugo back, putting him on the defensive, with her coming at him with a bunch of spin kicks, punches, chops, and low kicks, causing Bakugo to back off because of her superior fighting skill. Bakugo has taken a few martial arts classes. For your information, he has taken a few, he knows how to fight and stuff, but Mimi is at a completely different level than Bakugo can ever be when it comes to martial arts. As Bakugo would get tired of getting beat up, he would then use an explosion to cause some distance between the two, causing Mimi to be sent flying back. As he would then get into the air and start launching explosions at her, using his much better mobility than her, like changing directions with his explosions, coming at her from multiple angles with his explosions, and stuff like that. Until he would get sick and tired of it, noticing that his arms are starting to hurt because of overuse of his quirk. He would then decide to end this all. He would then use the Howitzer Impact. As he would use this, he would land back in the ring, thinking he had finally won, until Mimi would then come out of the smoke or dust or whatever, grabbing Bakugo with Black Whip, pulling him towards her, and with her delivering a thunderous punch to his gut, causing him to be sent flying outside the ring, winning Mimi the match. Yeah, as he would then say, oh my god, those two are crazy, as Deku would then say that, and Tsubaki would then say, it was very reckless of her to let him hit her with that explosion. As Ojiro would then say, I know it was reckless, but it gave her an opportunity to attack Bakugo when his guard was down to win her the match. As she would then say, it was still reckless and foolish of my daughter. As Deku would then say, but she did win. As both Bakugo and her would meet in the middle of the ring, with the two of them shaking hands. I know this would sound really out of character for Bakugo, but he holds a lot of respect for both Deku and Mimi, and especially Mimi because she was quirkless and incredibly powerful, someone he couldn't really beat, or someone he lost to a few times. So he would have a really deep respect for the two of them, especially Mimi. So that's why I believe Bakugo would end up shaking her hand, and probably going off to sulk in silence by himself for a bit. As President Michael announced how spectacular that match is, they would say, the next match will be Izuku Midoriya versus Mimi. As they would announce this, Mimi would then approach them, with her saying, it's me and you next, Izuku. As Deku would then say, yep, bring it on. As the two would then fist bump. As this would be going on, Tsubaki would then say something. You three have done well. As Ojiro will hold his head down, with Tsubaki saying, you too, I've seen how strong you've gotten. And you will have 3 weeks after the sports festival to yourselves. And in those 3 weeks, we will be going somewhere. As Deku would say, where are we going? As she would then say, to visit my master. She wishes to meet my successor. As Deku would then say, oh, that master. As Tsubaki would have told him a pretty decent amount of who she was and what she stood for. As Deku would then say, okay, does she know about me? She thinks it's Mimi. As Deku would then say, no wonder she's freaking out trying to take that back. She would then say, yep. I plan on passing it to you in these 3 weeks, so she will have no choice but to accept you. As Deku would then say, okay. As both Mimi and Ojiro will be wondering, what's going on? As Deku would then say, I'll tell you guys later. As they will then all be wondering, what is up with... As they will all just be thinking, what's going on? This is so weird. As Mimi would then say, forget all about that. We have a match, and I plan on winning. As Deku would then say, bring it on, Mimi. As the two of them would both lock eyes in a heated glance, as true rivals. As Tai Lung would then appear behind Deku, giving Mimi that same glance. And the two would then merge for a second, with both of their eyes looking back at Mimi, with Mimi not backing down. With the three of them just smiling at one another. And that is it for the video, you guys. If you liked the video, tell me what you liked about it. And if you guys want to name that attack, go name it down below. The little long range attack that I gave Deku. So yeah, go name that down below. Tell me what you think. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And the like goal for this video, it will be 120 likes for part 6. And if you guys are really bummed I didn't cover the fight with both Mimi and Deku, trust me, I will, and it will be great. It will be so good. You guys will love it. But that will be in part 7, and I will also be introducing a few new things, like they will be gone for at least 3 weeks, and yeah, to meet Deku and to meet Tsubaki's master. If you guys have any ideas, any suggestions, comment them down below. And the next video to come out, oh yeah, the next video to come out, it will not be what if Deku was a werewolf. I'm sorry for those of you guys that have been wanting that video. The next video to come out will be what if Deku was the reincarnation of Adnos Voldigold from Misfit Demon King Academy. And yeah. And I've already decided for my 3K special. I will post that sometime later tomorrow. But remember, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Because really, we hit 3,000 today. And I'm really happy about that. But let's go for 4,000, you guys. And that's pretty much it. Anything else I want to tell you guys? Anything else? Nope, that's pretty much it. This has been King Majin telling you guys to wait for the next video. Signing out. Peace.